The door flew open with a bang that echoed off the chipped subway tiles. Quinn froze. Her hand still on the knob, staring at the woman curled on the floor of their shared bathroom. Knees drawn to her chest. Face buried in trembling hands. A sob ripped through the steam-hazed air. Raw and unguarded. Like a secret finally breaking free after years of polite silence. In that split second, before words could form, Quinn knew she had crossed a line. But the sight of Rowan, her roommate of 6 months, unraveling like this pinned her in place. Heart slamming against her ribs. Quinn dropped her keys on the sink. The clatter swallowed by another choked gasp from Rowan. She had come home early from her shift at the coffee shop. Bone-tired from slinging lattes to tourists who never tipped. Dreaming of a hot shower to wash away the grease and small talk. The apartment in Brooklyn smelled like rain-soaked pavement and takeout containers. The kind of scent that clung to everything in late fall. But now, stepping over the threshold into this tiny blue-tiled space they split rent on, Quinn felt the weight of something heavier than exhaustion settle in her gut. Rowan lifted her head slowly. Mascara-streaked cheeks glistening under the harsh fluorescent bulb. Her green eyes, usually sharp with that quiet teacherly wit, were red-rimmed and lost. "Quinn," she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. "You were supposed to be at work. I got cut early." Boss said the lunch rush died. Quinn eased the door shut behind her. The click loud in the sudden quiet. She slid down the wall opposite Rowan, mirroring her pose without thinking. Knees bumping the cool floor. The air hung thick with the faint lavender of Rowan's shampoo and the metallic tang of tears. Quinn's mind raced, piecing together fragments, the late nights Rowan spent grading papers at the kitchen table. Her forced smiles over morning cereal. The way she had started flinching at her phone's buzz. Rowan wiped her nose on her sleeve. A rumpled blouse that screamed, parent-teacher conference gone wrong. She was 28. With that effortless grace from years of wrangling teenagers in a Queens public school. Her auburn waves often tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail. But tonight, or this afternoon, whatever this bleeding hour was, she looked smaller. Folded in on herself like one of her students after a bad breakup. "It's nothing," she muttered. But the lie hung there. Brittle. Quinn leaned forward. Elbows on her knees. Fighting the urge to reach out. They had danced around each other since Rowan answered Quinn's frantic Craigslist ad last spring. Quinn, 26 and scraping by on tips and sporadic gigs at open mics, had needed someone reliable to split the 2-bedroom and bed Stewie. Rowan fit the bill, steady job. No pets. References from colleagues who raved about her empathy. But empathy had its limits. Quinn figured. Watching Rowan's shoulders hitch with suppressed shudders. "It's not nothing." Quinn's voice came out softer than she intended. Laced with that Midwestern lilt she could never shake. Even after 3 years in New York. She thought of her own unravelings. The nights she locked herself in here after a set bombed. Strumming her guitar until her fingers bled. Convinced the city would chew her up and spit her out. "Talk to me. Or don't. But I'm not leaving you on the floor like this." Rowan let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. The sound twisting something deep in Quinn's chest. She unfolded slightly, stretching her legs out. Toes brushing Quinn's sneaker. The contact was electric. Unintended. But neither pulled away. "My ex," Rowan started. Then stopped. Swallowing hard. "She showed up at school today. With her new girlfriend. Parading her around like some trophy. Right in the parking lot where everyone could see." Quinn winced. The image hitting like a cold splash. She knew the type. Or at least the stories. From late-night confessions over cheap wine. Rowan's ex. The high-powered consultant who jetted off to conferences. Leaving Rowan to hold the fort. They had split amicably. Or so Rowan said. But amicable never meant painless. "That's fucked up," Quinn said. The word slipping out raw. American grit in her tone. Like. Straight up cruel. "What did you do?" "Nothing." Rowan's eyes dropped to her hands. Twisting a silver ring that caught the light. "I just stood there. smiled like an idiot. Then I drove home. Locked the door. And here I am. She gestured weakly at the mess, a tipped-over trash bin. Tissues scattered like fallen leaves. Quinn shifted closer. The tile biting into her palms. She could smell Rowan's skin now. Warm and faintly salty. And it stirred something she had buried under playlists and barista banter. A flicker of want that felt too big for this cramped space. "Hey," she said. Voice dropping to that husky timbre she saved for ballads. "You're allowed to fall apart. Doesn't make you weak. Makes you human." Rowan met her gaze then. Really looked. And the air between them thickened. Charged with the unspoken. Quinn felt her pulse in her throat. A slow thrum that matched the distant honk of a cab outside. For a moment, the world narrowed to this, two women on a bathroom floor. Walls painted the color of faded denim. A single bulb buzzing like a hesitant confession. Slowly, Rowan reached out. Her fingers brushing Quinn's wrist. The touch was tentative. A question wrapped in skin. Quinn didn't flinch. Instead, she covered Rowan's hand with her own. Thumb tracing a gentle circle. Grounding them both. "Thank you," Rowan murmured. The words barely audible. But they landed like a melody Quinn had been chasing her whole life. They sat like that until the light slanted golden through the frosted window. The afternoon stretching lazy and unforgiving. Quinn's shift was long forgotten. Her guitar waiting untouched in the living room. When Rowan finally stood, offering a hand to pull Quinn up, their palms lingered. Warm and sure. "Pizza?" Rowan asked. A ghost of a smile cracking her face. Quinn nodded. Squeezing once before letting go. "Extra cheese. And no olives. Those things are the devil." As they shuffled to the kitchen, bumping hips in the narrow hall, Quinn glanced back at the bathroom door. Ajar now. Spilling secrets into the ordinary. She didn't know it yet. But that knockless entry had cracked open more than a door. It had let in possibility. Fragile and fierce. The kind that could rewrite everything. The days blurred after that. A tentative rhythm settling over the apartment like dust on a windowsill. Quinn threw herself into her routines, dawn jogs through Prospect Park, where leaves crunched underfoot in shades of rust and gold. The Hudson's chill nipping at her cheeks. She poured her energy into songwriting. Scribbling lyrics on napkins during slow afternoons at the cafe. Words tumbling out about hidden aches and stolen glances. Rowan, meanwhile, buried herself in lesson plans. Her voice steadying as she lectured on Whitman and Dickinson to rows of half-attentive teens. But her eyes sought Quinn's in the evenings. A silent check-in over shared plates of stir-fry. One night, after a particularly grueling parent-teacher evening that left Rowan smelling of cheap coffee and frustration, she collapsed on the couch, head lolling against the cushions. Quinn was midway through a set of chords. Her acoustic guitar balanced on her knee. The notes low and brooding. "Play something happy," Rowan said. Eyes closed. A plea wrapped in exhaustion. Quinn paused. Fingers hovering over the strings. Happy wasn't her forte, her songs leaned toward the shadows. The what-ifs that kept her up at 3 a.m. But she tried. Plucking a melody from an old folk tune. Twisting it with a hopeful lilt. Rowan's lips curved. Faint but real. And when the last note faded, she opened her eyes. "That was beautiful. You're wasted on espresso shots." Quinn set the guitar aside. Heat creeping up her neck. "Nah. It's good practice for yelling over the steamer." She meant it light. But her voice caught. Betraying the undercurrent. Rowan sat up. Tucking her legs under her. Close enough that their knees brushed again. That same spark from the bathroom lingering. "You ever think about going pro?" Rowan asked. Genuine curiosity softening her features. "I mean, really. Your voice. It cuts right through." Quinn shrugged. Picking at a callus on her thumb. "Every day. But New York's a meat grinder. One bad open mic. And you're back to square one." She paused. The sigh escaping unbidden. Heavy with the weight of auditions dodged and dreams deferred. "What about you?" Teaching's your thing. But you light up talking about those kids. Ever think about writing? Like, your own stuff? Rowan's laugh was soft. Self-deprecating. Me? Nah. I'm better at dissecting dead poets than birthing them. But her eyes held a flicker. A maybe. And Quinn filed it away. A seed for later. They fell into easier patterns after that. Mornings started with coffee brewed strong. Quinn humming as she frothed milk. Rowan leaning on the counter in her robe. Hair a wild halo. Evenings stretched lazy. Takeout boxes open on the coffee table. Netflix flickering forgotten plots while they traded stories. Quinn's disastrous blind date with a sound engineer who ghosted mid-conversation. Rowan's battle with a student who quoted nihilism like gospel. But the bathroom moment hovered. A ghost in the walls. Quinn caught herself lingering in doorways. Knocking softer. Listening for the rhythm of Rowan's breath. One rainy Tuesday. As thunder rolled over the East River. Quinn found Rowan in the kitchen. Staring at her phone. Thumb frozen over a text she would never send. Her again? Quinn asked. Sliding a mug across the formica. Rowan nodded. Setting the phone face down. Just a memory. Stupid. She sipped. The steam curling up like regret. You know. That day. When you walked in. I thought I'd die of embarrassment. But you stayed. No judgment. That's rare. Quinn leaned against the fridge. Arms crossed to steady the flutter in her chest. We're roommates. Kinda comes with the territory. But it was more. And they both knew it. The air humming with the unsaid. She wanted to say how Rowan's vulnerability had mirrored her own. How it made the city feel less like a battlefield. Instead, she quipped. Besides, I've seen worse. Remember the time I barfed after that karaoke night? Rowan chuckled. The sound warming the damp chill. How could I forget? You belted Bohemian Rhapsody like your life depended on it. She reached out. Playful. Tugging Quinn's sleeve. Come on. Rain's letting up. Walk with me. They bundled into coats. Stepping out into streets slick with neon reflections. Puddles mirroring the glow of bodega signs. The air smelled of wet concrete and distant pretzels. New York alive in its gritty pulse. They wandered aimlessly. Shoulders brushing under the shared umbrella. Talk meandering from favorite dive bars to childhood haunts. Quinn confessed her Iowa roots. Cornfields and fireflies. The ache of leaving it all for subway rumbles. Rowan shared her Philly upbringing. Row houses and sibling squabbles. The pull of literature that saved her from small-town suffocation. By the time they looped back, soaked and laughing, the tension had shifted. Softened into something electric. At the door. Keys jingling. Rowan paused. Quinn, she said. Voice low. Rain dripping from her lashes. I'm glad it's you. Quinn's breath caught. The words a bridge over the chasm. She nodded. Throat tight. Me too. That night? Sleep came fitful. Dreams tangled with green eyes and guitar strings. The first stirrings of a song neither could yet name. Winter crept in like an uninvited guest. Frosting the apartment windows with intricate lace. Turning breaths to visible sighs in the morning chill. Quinn's gigs picked up. Sporadic slots at a Bushwick bar where the crowd was half hipster. Half hopeful. The air thick with smoke and feedback. She poured her confusion into lyrics. Verses about doors ajar and hands that lingered too long. Singing them out under dim spots that hid the tremble in her voice. Rowan noticed. Of course she did. Her job demanded she read between lines. Coaxed stories from guarded teens who slouched in desks with hoods up. You're writing about us, she said one evening. Casual as she folded laundry on the couch. But her cheeks pinked under the lamp's glow. Quinn. Midstrum. Fumbled a chord. What? No. It's just. Stuff. Lie tasted sour. But she played it off. Launching into a cover of an old Indigo Girls tune. Harmonies wrapping the room like a blanket. Rowan hummed along. Legs tucked under. Eyes tracing Quinn's fingers on the frets. When the song ended, silence bloomed, heavy with potential. Stuff, Rowan echoed, setting a sweater aside. Like how you look at me when you think I'm not watching? Her tone teased. But underneath lurked vulnerability. The echo of that bathroom floor. Quinn set the guitar down. Heart a wild drum. The room felt smaller. The radiator hissing like a held breath. Maybe. She stood, crossing to the window, peering out at snowflakes drifting over brownstones. Or maybe I'm just figuring out what scares me most. Opening up. Like you did. Rowan rose too, patting over in socks that whispered on the hardwood. She stopped inches away, close enough for Quinn to catch the vanilla of her lotion. The faint citrus shampoo. It scared me too. Still does. Her hand found Quinn's arm. Light as a question. But walking away? That's scarier. Quinn turned. Their faces inches apart. Breaths mingling in the cold air. The kiss, when it came, was inevitable. Soft at first. Tentative lips brushing like lyrics testing a melody. Then deeper. Rowan's fingers threading into Quinn's hair, pulling her close with a hunger that surprised them both. Quinn tasted salt and sweetness. Her hands roaming Rowan's back. Bunching fabric. Mapping curves she had only imagined in stolen glances. They broke apart gasping. Foreheads pressed. Laughter bubbling up through the days. Well, Quinn murmured. Voice husky. That was. Yeah. Rowan smiled. Eyes sparkling like fresh snow. That. From there? It unfolded like a secret album. Tracks skipping from tender to urgent. Mornings blurred into lazy tangles of sheets. Quinn waking to Rowan's head on her chest. Heartbeat a steady lullaby. They navigated the newness with care. Whispers in the dark about fears and fantasies. Bodies learning rhythms that spoke louder than words. But secrets in New York had a way of fraying at the edges. Rowan's school buzzed with holiday pageants and staff potlucks, where colleagues pried with wine-loosened tongues. Seeing anyone, her department head asked over eggnog. Eyes twinkling with matchmaker glee. Rowan deflected with a grin, stirring her drink. Focusing on the kids. You know how it is. But inside. Doubt gnawed. A quiet storm. What if it leaked? What if Quinn, with her wandering spirit and stage dreams, tired of the hide-and-seek? Quinn felt it too. In the cafe's rush, where baristas swapped gossip over espresso grounds. Her best friend, Mia, a tattooed drummer with a nose for drama, cornered her during a break. Spill. You've got that glow. Who's the girl making you smile like an idiot? Quinn wiped the counter, avoiding Mia's gaze. Just someone. It's new. But Mia's eyebrow arched. And Quinn caved, whispering Rowan's name over the hiss of the machine. Roommate thing turned. More. Mia's whoop drew stares. But she clapped Quinn's shoulder. About time you let someone in. But careful, babe. Hearts break easy in this town. The warning lingered as December deepened. Snow piling curbs like unspoken worries. They stole moments, a weekend drive upstate. Tires crunching gravel to a cabin Rowan's friend lent, where pine-scented air wrapped them in isolation. They built a fire. Flames dancing shadows on log walls. And made love on a rug thick with dust. Slow and unhurried. Quinn tracing constellations on Rowan's skin. Rowan murmuring poetry fragments that dissolved into moans. You're my safe harbor, Quinn confessed later. Tangled in quilts. Stars winking through the skylight. In this storm of a city. Rowan kissed her temple. Breath warm. And you're the song I didn't know I needed. But even then. A sigh escaped. Faint. Foreshadowing the gales ahead. Back in Brooklyn. The new year loomed. Resolutions whispered over champagne flutes on New Year's Eve. The apartment aglow with string lights and takeout dim sum. They toasted to possibilities. Lips brushing in promise. But as fireworks cracked over the skyline, Quinn's phone lit with a text from her agent, a showcase in LA. 2 weeks away. Big break, it read. But the words twisted in her gut. A fork in the road she hadn't mapped. Rowan saw her face fall, setting her glass down. Tell me. Quinn paced the living room. Rug worn thin under her steps. Gig in California. Could be nothing. Could be everything. She stopped, facing Rowan. The distance between them suddenly vast. But leaving you? Even for a week. It guts me. Rowan's smile was brave. But her eyes shimmered. Go. Chase it. I'll be here. Grating metaphors. She pulled Quinn close, holding tight against the pull of what-ifs. We'll figure the rest. The flight west was a blur of recycled air and turbulence. Quinn's guitar case thumping in the overhead like a heartbeat. LA sprawled golden and unreal. Palm shadows stretching over boulevards buzzing with dreamers. The Showcase Club smelled of stale beer and ambition. Stage lights harsh on her face as she strummed her set, originals laced with Rowan's echo. Vulnerability raw in every chord. The crowd leaned in, murmurs rippling. And when she finished to scattered applause, a label scout slipped her a card. Words like potential and follow-up buzzing in her ears. Elation surged. Sharp and sweet. But calling Rowan grounded it. Her voice over the line a tether. You killed it, Rowan said. Pride thick. I'm so proud. I miss you already, Quinn admitted. Hotel room silent around her. This city's too big without you. 2 more days, Rowan soothed. Then home. But home? When Quinn landed back in JFK's chaos, felt shifted. Rowan greeted her at the gate, arms wrapping fierce. But her hug lingered a beat too long. Need laced with something unspoken. Over diner pancakes that night. Steam rising in the greasy spoon's hum. Rowan stirred her coffee. Spoon clinking like a countdown. My sister's getting married, she said finally. Eyes on the swirl. In Philly. Next month. She wants me to bring someone. Make it official. Quinn's fork paused midair. Syrup dripping slow. Official. The word hung. Heavy with implication. Family meant spotlights. Judgments. The world cracking open their private world. Rowan nodded. Vulnerable again. That bathroom echo. I want it to be you. But only if you're ready. Quinn reached across. Lacing fingers. The booth's vinyl creaking under her shift. I am. The lie tasted brave. But inside. Fear coiled. A serpent in the garden they had bloomed. Preparations wove through February slush. Quinn memorizing family trees over late-night calls. Rowan sharing stories of overbearing aunts and a father who quoted Bible verses at dinner. He's coming around, Rowan assured. Packing her duffel with care. Slowly. The drive east was a ribbon of interstate. Pennsylvania's hills rolling under gray skies. Radio humming folk tunes that mirrored Quinn's nerves. They arrived as dusk fell. Rowan's childhood home a brick colonial glowing with lanterns. Laughter spilling from open windows. The air smelled of roasting turkey and hyacinths. Wedding Eve buzz electric. Quinn's hand sweated in Rowan's as they stepped inside. Greetings crashing like waves. This is Quinn, Rowan announced. Voice steady. Her mother's eyes narrowing over a crystal glass. Musician? Huh? The older woman, silver-streaked and sharp, sized her up. Rowan says you're talented. Hope you're not one of those flighty types. Quinn forced a smile. Gut twisting. Trying not to be. Ma'am. The evening stretched. Small talk a minefield. Rowan's sister beaming in white lace. Toasts clinking to futures bright. But under the table. Rowan's foot nudged Quinn's. A silent anchor. Later. In the guest room's dim. Twin beds pushed close. They lay whispering. Fears spilling like moonlight. She's just protective, Rowan murmured. Fingers tracing Quinn's jaw. Give it time. Quinn pulled her nearer. Bodies fitting like puzzle edges. As long as I have you. Their lovemaking was quiet. Fervent. A rebellion against the house's creaks. Release a sigh shared in the dark. The ceremony dawned crisp. Church pews filled with relatives. Organ swelling as Rowan walked her sister down the aisle. Eyes meeting Quinn's in the crowd. A vow unspoken. Vows exchanged. Rings glinting. And as confetti rained, Quinn felt the stir of belonging. Fragile but real. But fragility cracked on the drive back. Radio droning weather reports. Rowan's phone buzzing insistent. Work, she muttered. But her face paled. Pulling over at a rest stop. Fluorescent lights buzzing harsh. What? Quinn asked. Dread pooling. Rowan handed the phone. Email Stark, complaint from a parent. Whispers of inappropriate relationship with a colleague. Investigation pending. It's her, Rowan whispered. Ex's shadow long. She knows. Told someone at the school. Quinn's world tilted. Anger hot. We'll fight it. Together. But Rowan's tears fell. Silent. My job. The kids. Everything. They drove home and waited quiet. Brooklyn's lights blurring through rain-streaked glass. The idol fracturing under reality's weight. Spring unfurled tentative in the city. Cherry blossoms dusting sidewalks like fleeting promises. But the apartment felt besieged. Papers strewn across the kitchen table like battle plans. Rowan met with the principal. Voice measured in the office's stuffy air. Recounting timelines. Alibis woven from caution. It's baseless, she insisted. But doubt shadowed her. Sleep fractured by what-ifs. Quinn paced the living room. Phone glued to her ear. Calling Mia for advice. Then a lawyer friend from an old gig circuit. Harassment claim, the voice crackled over the line. Document everything. But school's spookeasy. Could drag. Nights turned restless. Quinn strumming half-formed laments. Chords clashing like her fears. She watched Rowan grade papers under the lamp's pool. Pen scratching furious. And ached to fix it. To shield her from the storm. One evening. As rain lashed the windows. Quinn knelt beside her chair. Hands on Rowan's knees. Let me help. More than calls. Rowan looked up. Exhaustion etching lines around her eyes. You are. Just. Be here. She pulled Quinn up. Kiss fierce. A dam against despair. They tumbled to the rug. Urgency born of loss's edge. Bodies claiming what threats couldn't touch. But threats multiplied. The ex texted. Smug, just looking out for the kids. Blocked numbers piled. And Rowan's colleagues shifted. Whispers in the lounge like knives. Supportive, one said. But eyes slid away. Quinn saw the toll in Rowan's slumped shoulders. The way she stared at her coffee. Steam rising unanswered. Desperate for air. They escaped to Central Park one Saturday. Greens bursting vibrant. Joggers weaving paths. They spread a blanket near the lake. Basket unpacked with cheese and grapes. Normalcy a fragile picnic. Ducks quacked lazy. Children shrieking on swings. And for an hour? Laughter flowed. Rowan's head on Quinn's lap. Fingers combing auburn strands. Remember upstate? Quinn murmured. Tracing Rowan's palm. Firelight. Us. Rowan's smile ghosted. How could I forget? But her voice wavered. And she sat up. Knees drawn. Quinn. If I lose this. Teaching's my anchor. Without it. You won't. Quinn cupped her face. Thumbs brushing tears before they fell. We'll pivot. You could tutor. Write that book of poetry you've hidden in your drawer. She kissed her forehead. Then lips. Soft plea. You're more than a job. You're. Everything. Rowan leaned in. Embraced tight. The park's hum fading to their breaths. I love you, she whispered. First time voiced. The words abloom in barren soil. Quinn's heart stuttered. Joy sharp. Love you too. They held on. World blurring. Love a bulwark. The investigation dragged into May. Meetings in paneled rooms where aircon hummed judgmental. Rowan emerged drained. But updates trickled hopeful, X's claims thin. No proof. Still. The strain frayed threads. Quinn's LA buzz faded. Scout ghosting emails. Rejection a sting on old wounds. Timing sucks, she vented over Thai takeout. Curry spicy on her tongue. Rowan squeezed her hand. Your time's coming. Talent like yours? Unstoppable. But Quinn doubted. Staring at her guitar case. Lid mocking. One night. Frustration boiled. And she stormed out. Wandering village streets alive with buskers and couples. A dive bar drew her. Stage open. Mic stand beckoning. She signed up. Nerves electric. And when her turn came, she poured it out, a new song. Raw with love's terror. Lyrics weaving Rowan's name in metaphor. Voice cracking on the bridge. The crowd stilled. Applause thundering as she stepped down. A woman in leather slipping her a card. Indie label. Call me. Elation surged. And dialing Rowan? Voice breathless, I did it. A real shot. Rowan's cheer crackled through. Knew it. Come home. Celebrate. They did. With wine and whispers. Bodies celebrating in candle flicker. Reaffirming bonds. But dawn brought reality, a letter under the door. Eviction notice. Rent hikes biting deep. Developer buyout, the super shrugged. Whole building. Quinn crumpled it. Gut sinking. Where to now? Rowan paced. Practical mind whirring. Queens? Or? Out. Fresh start. The idea sparked. A road trip west. Chasing Quinn's music. Rowan's words. Why not? Quinn said. Vision clearing. You? Me? Open road. See America. Rowan's eyes lit. Fear yielding to fire. Road trip. Yes. Packing blurred days. Boxes labeled hasty. Goodbyes to Mia over beers. Tears and hugs. Rowan's notice tendered. School farewell bittersweet. Students slipping notes, miss you. Teach. The ex's shadow faded. Case dismissed. Vindication quiet. June bloomed hot. And they loaded Quinn's beat-up Civic. Guitar strapped back seat. Rowan's laptop humming maps. First stop, Hudson Valley. Orchards heavy with fruit. Air sweet as cider. They hiked trails. Hands linked. View sprawling green. Evenings in motels with neon buzz. Sheets cool. Love urgent under thin walls. South through Appalachia. Mountains folding like accordions. Bluegrass fiddles wailing from porches. Rowan read aloud from dog-eared Kerouac. Voice weaving tales. Quinn harmonizing with made-up tunes. In Asheville. A coffeehouse gig netted tips and a kiss from Rowan in the alley. Stars overhead. Tension simmered low. Miles melting doubts. But in Nashville. Honky-tonks throbbing. Quinn set drew scouts again. Offers whispered. Tour, one said. Eyes gleaming. Rowan watched from the bar. Pride shadowed by pull. Later. In their room overlooking the Cumberland. She voiced it. If you go? I follow. But what about us? Quinn pulled her close. Sheets tangling. Us first. Always. Promise sealed in sighs. But seed of sacrifice planted. They pushed west. Plains stretching endless under Kansas sun. Wind whipping hair through open windows. Rowan's journal filled. Poems blooming from motion. Quinn's songs tape recorded on an old cassette. Storms rolled dramatic. Lightning cracking skies. Them huddled in diners. Pie cooling untouched. By Colorado. Rocky's jagged teeth. They camped under aspen groves. Fire smoke curling prayers. One night. Stars blanketing. Rowan turned serious. This trip. It's healing me. You did that. Quinn poked the embers. Sparks rising. We did. But back home. The fight. It showed me. I can't lose you to fear. Rowan's hand found hers over flames. Nor I you. Kiss deepened. Night enveloping. Love's depth plumbed. California called. Pacific glittering as they crested hills. LA's sprawl welcoming wary. Quinn's callback loomed. But first, they detoured north. Big Sur cliffs dropping to surf roar. They stood at the edge. Wind salty. Hands clasped. Whatever happens, Quinn said. We choose this. Rowan nodded. Tears wind-whipped. Together. The city swallowed them. But in a sunset bungalow rented cheap. They carved space. Quinn's audition aced. Deal inked tentative. Tour dates penciled. Rowan submitted poems to journals. Rejections soft with encouragement. Life wove new. Fragile but fierce. Yet climax brewed in a call from Philly, father's heart attack. Rowan's rush east leaving Quinn adrift in traffic hum. Hospital waits stretched. Beeps monotonous. Rowan gripping her hand through corridors sterile. He's stable, doctors said. But the scare cracked open old rifts. Father's eyes hard on Quinn. This lifestyle. Is it serious? Rowan bristled. It's love? Dad. Real as yours. Words hung. Bridge burning. But in the quiet room. As monitors beeped. Father sighed. Hand extending tentative. If she makes you happy. Quinn took it. Grip firm. She does. Summer waned into fall's amber hush. The bungalow's porch swing creaking under their weight. LA's haze softening sunsets to pinks and golds. Quinn's tour kicked off small. Club hops through the southwest. Rowan tagging along in the passenger seat. Laptop open to freelance edits. Her teaching days traded for words that flew freer. Stages welcomed Quinn. Crowds growing rowdier. Her voice honed sharper. Songs now laced with road-worn hope. Rowan's influence in every bridge. They carved routines in motion, motel breakfasts of burnt toast and black coffee. Hands brushing over maps folded crisp. In Austin's heat. Barbecue smoke thick. Quinn dedicated a tune to The Woman Who Maps My Heart, Rowan's blush hidden in the wings. Nights ended tangled. Sweat slick. Laughter echoing off adobe walls. Love a constant in chaos. But distance tugged. Calls home to me laced with updates. Brooklyn a memory faded. Rowan's family mended slow. Letters from her father postmarked Philly. Words thawing, proud of you both. Healing hummed quiet. A undercurrent to their rhythm. October brought peaks. Quinn's album demo landing a label nod. Contracts inked over tie in a Silver Lake dive. We did it, she toasted. Chopsticks clinking glasses. Eyes on Rowan alight. You did, Rowan corrected. Foot nudging under table. But our story? That's the real hit. Doubt flickered rare now. But in quieter moments. Like drives through Joshua Tree spines. Silence invited whispers. Ever miss the grind? Quinn asked once. Palms whipping past. Rowan gazed at Yucca Stark. Parts. The kids' breakthroughs. But this. Freedom. With you. It's poetry. Quinn squeezed the gearshift. Heart full. Their love had weathered eviction's bite. Investigations chill. Road's endless pull. Emerging tempered. True. Winter circled back. But softer. Holidays spent in a rented cabin near Tahoe. Snow blanketing pines. Fire roaring companion. They strung lights on boughs. Baked cookies lopsided. Danced slow to vinyl crackle. Rowan's head on Quinn's shoulder. World outside muffled. New Year's dawned clear. Lake frozen silver. Them bundled on the dock. Breaths clouding vows. To us, Quinn said. Ring slipping on Rowan's finger. Simple band glinting. No more hiding. Rowan kissed her. Fierce. To everything. Back in LA. Life bloomed steady, Quinn's tour dates booked. Rowan's chapbook accepted. Readings in cafes where her voice trembled then soared. They adopted a cat. Tabby Streak named Echo. Curling between them on the couch. Purring approval. Years folded gentle after. Milestones marked quiet, first anniversary in Big Sur. Waves crashing witness, Rowan's full book launch. Quinn front row beaming, a house bought in Echo Park. Yard for herbs and guitars. Challenges came. As they do, tour strains pulling Quinn east. Rowan's deadlines clashing. Arguments flaring hot over forgotten calls. But they learned the dance. Apologies brewed with coffee. Makeup slow and sure. Love deepening roots. One evening. Porch swing swaying. Echo in lap. Quinn strummed a new refrain. Words about doors flung open. Floors shared. Lives entwined. Rowan listened. Eyes closed. Hand on hers. Play it at the next show, she murmured. Our song. Quinn nodded. Melody lingering. In the city's hum? Under stars pricked faint. They sat. Two women who stumbled into each other without warning. Building a world from vulnerability's clay. What started in a knockless crash had woven unbreakable. A testament to chance's grace. Love's quiet revolution. And in the hush. As night deepened. Quinn sighed content. Rowan's head on her shoulder. The future a harmony unwritten. But sung true.